And let us invite again with a huge round of applause, I would say a thunderous round of applause, Shri Amitabh Kant ji for a keynote address.
Distinguished guests, very distinguished members of the jury, Mr. Dange, ladies and gentlemen, I'm truly delighted to be here for the Build India Awards. Let me first compliment Mr. Dange for this initiative. India is today a $4 trillion economy. Last year we grew at about 8.2%. The challenge is that the vision which the Prime Minister has set for itself to be a Viksit Bharat means that we have to become a $30 trillion plus economy by 2047. This means that our GDP has to grow 9 times, our per capita income has to grow 8 times, and our manufacturing has to grow 16 times. Today we are the 5th largest economy in the world, and in another 2.5 years, we'll be the 3rd largest economy in the world, overtaking Japan and Germany. But this vision requires us to create world-class infrastructure. And world-class infrastructure in terms of creating top-class expressways, highways, the best trains, which would also imply tracks and signals, and probably, to my mind, the best metros in the world. This would require a huge amount of energy, not merely in terms of building infrastructure, but this would require a lot of homework in doing pre-project preparation. The success of any infrastructure, to my mind, is not the paucity of funds. Funds are always available. There's no shortage of funds. There's no shortage of finance. There is a shortage of well-structured, de-risked projects. And de-risking projects which can be put out into the market or well executed requires us to acquire land, take all the necessary approvals, ensure last mile connectivity, and ensure that environmental clearances, etc., are all taken and housed in that special purpose vehicle, which should then either be bid out for private sector or put out for EPC contract, so that projects can then be executed speedily. And this means that the government has to do a lot of homework in terms of project development. Now, in the last 4 years, the government has increased its capex spend from 1% of the GDP to about close to 4%, and is spending over 11 lakh crores per annum on infrastructure projects. My belief always has been that while government is good at creating infrastructure, the private sector is always better at operating and maintenance. And therefore the government came out with the asset management scheme, the asset monetization plan, that when government creates assets, it should be able to put it out through a transparent competitive bidding process to the private sector so that they are able to ensure that it's better operated, better maintained, and there are revenue streams already coming in through tolls, etc., and therefore there is a good revenue model to it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not merely India's decade, but India's century, and it is India's century because we are the only country in the world today which is creating close to about 8 airports plus 3 metros every year. No other country in the world today is creating 8 airports and 3 metros every year. We are the only country in the world which does about 30 kilometers of road plus about 12 kilometers of railway line every day. No other country in the world does that. We are also the only country in the world which has done 31x of solar energy in the last 8 years. No other country in the world has been able to do 31x of solar energy in the last 8 years. We are also the only country in the world, actually, which has created 40 million houses. It's built 40 million houses for its citizens. It's like making a complete Australia. That's more than the population of Australia. Making a full Australia within India. We've built over 130 million toilets for our citizens and provided behavioral change, which is equivalent to making toilets for the entire population of Germany. That's more than the population of Germany. And we built close to about 253 million piped water connection for our citizens, which is more than the population of Brazil. So the size and scale of India we do not realize, or what we have achieved in India to drive the growth. And ladies and gentlemen, but heading all this has been the huge amount of work that has been done in the sector of road, expressways and highways. We've built over the last decade over close to 88,000 kilometers of roads, expressways and highways. That's almost 4 times of the roads and expressways that existed in India before the decade. And therefore, India has demonstrated that it is capable of doing great projects with size and scale and speedily. The only challenge to my mind is that whatever we do now in India must be world class. We should not do anything second class. And this would require us to do world class planning. We should be able to work with the best project planners. We should be able to get the best project management units to monitor them and ensure that there are no time and cost overruns in these projects. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a great occasion that Build India has selected some of the finest builders of India to drive India's growth process. It will not be possible for India to grow at 8 to 9% per annum year after year without the best companies executing the best projects. In the post-World War II period, there are very few countries in the world who've been able to grow at this rate. If India is to become a $30 trillion plus economy, means 8 to 9% growth year after year for 3 decades. Very few countries have been able to achieve it. Japan did this, Korea did this, and in recent time, China has done this. All other countries have got caught in the middle income trap. And therefore, to my mind, if India is to grow at this rate and to become a developed economy and to transform the lives of its citizens, we need many more Build India awards so that we can do the world's best projects. I would also request Mr. Dange that this must become, as I was discussing with Sanjay right now, that this must become India's best awards. It must become the finest award, and it must have very few awards, but it must be given to the finest guys in India, and therefore it must become very, very aspirational. It must be given to those who execute the finest projects in the world, not merely in India, but have the capability to then go on. India needs not just one L&T, India needs hundreds of L&T. We have very few companies who can create the world's best infrastructure. And therefore, my vision is that take this Build India award to another level, another league, so that these become the best Build India awards, should be the best awards in the world on the infrastructure sector. So I take this opportunity to congratulate you and to congratulate you for having such a distinguished jury. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. All the best and wish you all glory in future.